Welcome to Astrofic, your dose of fun, relatable astrology content where we apply astrology to fictional characters to find out why they're like that. I'm your host, Celeste V, and this week we're talking about a couple of characters from the Sing franchise of movies. This episode, we're going to be talking about two characters, Buster Moon and Johnny the Gorilla. I don't know what his last name is. I think in my notes just say Johnny. And this is a very special episode because this is the first episode of Astrofic where we will have a guest on the show. I love the Sing franchise, but there is somebody in my life who loves the Sing franchise more than I do. And I had to call in an expert. My expert this week is Katie. I won't say your last name unless you want me to. No. Okay, I didn't think so. Please introduce yourself.
What an introduction that was. Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here.
Oh, give your big three.
My big three. I am an Aquarius sun, a Leo rising, and a Taurus moon. That's me. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Who's your favorite character from the Sing franchise? Or top three? Top three. I know it's hard to choose.
Top three. That's a good question. For the record, we rewatched both movies today to be perfectly equipped to discuss this. And I really think I gained a new love for Buster Moon. Love Buster. Rosita. Love Rosita. And Johnny, he's really good.
Well, luckily, we'll be talking about 2 out of 3 of those characters today. As Katie said, we watched both of those movies again today. Incredible films. Just incredible films. Garth Jennings, we owe you our lives. Sing 3 when? Okay, we're going to start off with Buster Moon. How do you want to do this, Katie? Do you want to pick a placement and I tell you what it is and we talk a little bit about it?
I think that sounds really good.
All right, what do you want to do?
Tell me Buster Moon's big three.
Okay, so his big three. I have given Buster Moon a Gemini sun, a Pisces moon, and he's a Capricorn rising. So let's just dig into his rising sign first. So Buster Moon, as we talked about today, is a very ambitious man.
Yes, ambitious, determined, driven.
So I was like, he has to have Capricorn in his big three somewhere, but I think he's like just too much of a softie to have it be his like sun or his moon, his luminary placements. So I really think that he's just like Saturn ruled as a person with his discipline, and he really admires his father, which is another very Saturnian thing, is like the like patriarchy is like kind of like Saturn's thing, like fathers, it can be represented by Saturn in the 10th house and stuff. So I definitely think he's a Capricorn rising, and that's off the cuff. I didn't even write that stuff down.
I love that.
Okay, so I think that he's a Capricorn rising because like the dollar sign is the bottom line. Like everything that he does is to make a quick buck if possible. He still has like integrity, and he still has ambition and things that he wants to do, and he's very passionate about the arts. And he knows that money makes the world go around. And it's just everything to him. He's just, he's a capitalist in some way, shape, or form of the word.
We still love him though.
He also takes immense pride in everything he does. Because of that, he believes that he and his friends are worth more than what they're receiving at like every point in time in every one of the movies, because like that's what conflict is about in movies. Characters aren't getting what they should be receiving, and he takes a lot of offense to that. I think we saw that, we talked about it a little bit with the second movie.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about the second movie and his how he gives up so quickly.
Yes. In the first movie, he keeps powering through. Okay, we're going to keep moving. This is what we're going to do now. He did that to the very end and only gave up when the theater came crumbling down. And in the second movie, when Suki said, "You're not good enough," he went and crawled in his desk and cried. Right away. No hesitation.
Yeah, he really just was like, that's it. I'm a failure. And then Nana Noodleman had to come and be like, do you remember how long it took her to find him?
Yes, she searched for him.
He has so many hiding spots. Yeah, and he just was like in his desk crying like he was broke again.
Listening to the radio, listening to his sad song.
Listening to a sad song. It was one of the Beatles songs, wasn't it?
No, it was Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Oh, that's why I thought it was Beatles.
Oh my goodness.
Also, I just wrote that he's a Capricorn rising because he literally only wears suits.
He does. I didn't even notice that. With a clip-on bow tie.
Oh my god, with a clip-on bow tie, even in the second movie when he has money.
Real! When he has money and his own bedroom.
My last note on him, his rising, is that this plus his Gemini sun, which I guess we'll talk about next, makes him a little awkward. And he makes him slip up in conversations sometimes, but for the most part, he can like get himself out of it because Geminis are like good at talking themselves out of things.
Very interesting that you bring that up specifically, because something I wanted to say about Buster is he's a very good storyteller.
Yes, dude, absolutely. I so agree. That's why I also had to give him a Gemini placement, because Gemini is the sign that is ruled by Mercury. And I was like, well, he has to have like some mercurial like influence in his chart, because this is like he's a smooth talker, dude.
He is very naturally, very confidently, like when he went to Nana's house for the first time, grabbed the roses, going to say what's up, give her a hug.
Yeah, he's crazy. So his Gemini sun is in the 6th house of daily routine, physical health, and just like the literal mundane day-to-day life. And in Gemini, it's like really slay to me, I think, because like this house is traditionally ruled by Virgo, which is the other mercurial ruled sign. So I think that it translates pretty seamlessly. But so the thing about Gemini though is that Gemini is like way flightier because it's an air sign, so it doesn't seem as stable as Virgo. They're both mutable signs, so neither of them are really stable anyways. But like, you know, their differences in elements also makes it like very obvious which one is less stable. But like Buster has his routine down pat in the first movie with his stupid falling apart bicycle.
Yes, he does.
He knows what he has to do, and he like when he gives it to the freaking, what are they called, the valet, and he's like, hey, she's like, handle her gently. Like he knows how to handle his rusted falling apart bicycle. He knows where he sleeps, what he eats, because he's broke. So like he knows exactly what he needs to continue to survive day to day, but he forgets some of the most important stuff, or just like puts it off for so long that he like doesn't get to it, like how to pay people and how much to pay them, because the movie pretty much opens with the crew leaving, storming out. And then the bank starts calling. Judith. Shout out Judith the llama.
All my homies hate Judith.
All my homies hate Judith and Jimmy and
the dance teacher.
Oh my god, yeah. What's his Klaus?
Yeah.
Klaus.
Yeah.
I don't care that he turned it around at the end.
I don't care.
I don't give a fuck.
I do not give a fuck about that guy.
He sucked. He sucked so
really
bad.
Did. Like, what was... Yeah, fuck that guy.
What did you say earlier? You were like, he's just so like insecure or something.
Yeah, and he hates Johnny so much because he sees in Johnny something he never had and never will have.
That's what you said.
Yes.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, so fuck those guys.
Yeah.
Okay. So last thing I had to say about Buster's Gemini son is that he thinks he can just chat and charm his way out of everything because of it, dude.
Yeah.
Like, let's think. What does he like, I mean, the stage crew still quits, but he like, I mean, he lies to everybody the entire first movie.
Yes, he does. And that was another note I wanted to bring up, that he is so ambitious and determined, but like, what's the phrase? Overzealous, maybe, to the point where he cannot follow through with his promises, over promises things.
I would definitely agree with that. Okay, let's round out his big three. His Pisces moon is in the 3rd house. This is the house of communication, and I believe it's also the house of siblings, weirdly enough. If you want more detail about what the 3rd house rules, listen to a solo episode, and I go way more in depth. So I wrote, he is very open and communicative about his emotions when he knows what they are.
No, that's true, actually.
I think that like at the end of the first movie, he's very clearly like depressed and stuff, but he like doesn't want to talk to anybody about it. And I feel like him throwing himself into work after the theater collapses and working that horrible car washing job that his poor dad had to work his whole life.
Yeah.
I think that like Pisces is like the last zodiac, so I feel like that is like a very full circle moment, right? Like him having to like regress 100% back into what his dad did. But like the difference between him and his dad is that he had Eddie and he had a good friend to help him out.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Crawley.
Yes. Love Mrs. Crawley. She's a true ride or die, bro.
I mean Miss Crawley, not Mrs.
Crawley, my mistake.
We talked about this earlier. You said there was like a deleted scene or something of...
Yeah, something I saw online, a clip I saw online where she is looking for love. And she does, I didn't say this earlier, she does find an old fisherman lizard.
Oh my god. Because I was sitting here like Sing 3, Miss Crawley tries to find love and her and Calloway like have something because he went with them. But I mean, he loved his wife so much. I don't think so. Yeah, I also don't think he'll love anyone else again. I was watching, dude, we were watching the second movie and I was like, there are so many characters that like I wish that we could talk about like right now.
Yeah.
But we've already been going like 15 minutes and haven't even gone through Buster's big three.
Damn.
Okay, so the 3rd house, again, communication, it's the house of Mercury, so it's also like technology and like thinking and stuff like that. And I think that Buster does try to like intellectualize and logic his way out of his feelings. Again, this is like him throwing himself into working again. But there's also something to be said. He gives himself a period of time to mourn and grieve and be sad, and then he like is like, well, I'm still broke.
That's so real.
He's very pragmatic. Maybe I'm biased as a Saturn ruled person, but like I think that he's very disciplined and he's like, I'm gonna wallow for a little bit and then I'm gonna get right back on the fucking horse, dude.
It's time to go back to the grindstone again.
Also, this is a very mutable sign thing too, because Pisces is also a mutable sign. They tend, okay, just a general PSA. If you have a moon in a mutable sign, which is Pisces, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Gemini, you are going to flip-flop between your emotions really quickly. I have a very close friend whose moon is in Sagittarius, and Yeah, dude. When one minute he's up and the next he's down, and then he's back up again, and that gives me whiplash. I'm like a fully fixed sign person, so like it's crazy. I'm sure that he would say that my mood swings are worse though. So Buster flip-flops like that between emotions, and does not let himself feel them all the way through, and has to revisit them later, I feel like. Whether later comes, unclear.
Not shown.
He has not dealt with maybe anything that he has going on emotionally.
No.
He is deeply compassionate and empathetic, I think, though.
Yes, that is another thing I wanted to bring up about him, that he, even in the first movie, was always there for all of the cast and crew, very supportive of them, especially Mina. And then when Ash wrote her song after he was pushing her to be the pop that she didn't want to, and he was fully supportive of her song and praised her.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we talked about this earlier too, the way he snaps at Mina, I think that's what makes it all the more like jarring and like very obvious that he's in a place of hurt, because he would have never ever ever said anything like that to her before.
No, he just kept encouraging her and pushing her and checking in, you ready to sing with us? Even the day of the dress rehearsal for Nana, he was like, you want to do this? And she's like, okay.
And no, she didn't just say okay. She was like, I don't know, Mr. Moon. And he was like, do you love singing?
Yeah. Gave her a whole motivational speech, bro.
That's the Pisces and Gemini combined, is the like heartfelt, passionate, emotional speech that gets you to want to do what you love.
Yeah, very inspiring, very inspirational man.
Let's talk a little bit about his speeches. Let's talk about his Mercury sign. I gave him a Taurus Mercury in the 5th house, and I don't have anything in front of me that I normally do, like when I do a solo episode, so this is like funny, but the 5th house is a house of like creativity and like childhood and childlike joy, short-term romances, like really light like flings and stuff, and like just really light friendly love and beauty and stuff like that, and like art and creativity and all of that. And he has his Mercury there in a sign that is traditionally ruled by Venus, which is a very beautiful placement. This placement, his Mercury Taurus 5th house, is crazy. This is what makes him very suave and charismatic typically, and it's why he can like falter a little bit in social interactions and like still get up from that. The only person it doesn't really work on is Jimmy Crystal. That dude does not give a fuck what Buster has to say.
No, he does not. No, he does not.
That guy sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, this placement is a huge reason why he can almost always get himself out of a predicament. And it's a very funny and creative and insightful placement, which are all traits that people value very deeply. I think Buster, like a Capricorn rising, makes him seem, like that capitalistic, like businessman, but all of these other placements and all of these other very wonderful, beautiful signs and houses, like really softens up the edges of a Saturn ruled person. That's all I had for his Mercury. Any thoughts?
All creatures, big and small. That's it.
He's very inclusive.
Yes, he does.
He has a very inclusive language. We were talking about Zootopia too, and I don't think they're that inclusive in their language.
Nor are they that inclusive in the infrastructure of their cities. By the way, fuck Zootopia.
I agree. Fuck Zootopia. We're Zootopia haters in this house.
We are.
One thing I'll never talk about on Astrofic is Zootopia.
No, never.
Zootopia officially banned from Astrofic.
I support that. I endorse that.
All right, endorsement from Katie Slay. His next placement is Venus in Leo in the 8th house. 8th house is the house that's traditionally ruled by Pluto. It is the house of transformation, and of all things that people would consider to be quote unquote taboo, like sex and death and all of that great stuff that I love because I'm a Scorpio.
Nice.
I also have my Venus in the 8th house, and it's a very like intense placement. Mine is in Libra, so I think it's a little bit more balanced because at least it's in a sign that is ruled by Venus, right? Mm-hmm. The thing about what I think I really like Leo Venuses, because in my study and experience, Leo Venuses, contrary to what people traditionally think of the sign Leo, when it's in Venus, Leo Venuses are not trying to be the star of the show. They're trying to make who they love the star of the show so that they can be like cute arm piece, like, hey, look at this, look at my partner, or look at the people I love, they're like amazing. And I think that is like Buster's whole fucking thing.
I was just going to say that makes so much sense because he's in this director producer role, highlighting other people, their talents, making them quite literally the stars of the show, and he's more behind the scenes a little bit, to a degree.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's behind the scenes, but he's still got his name on it, you know.
Yes.
Like he wants the credit still, but like he doesn't need to be in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in the 8th house, though, that this love, this adoration, this respect comes at a high price, as in he will sacrifice everything he has for those that he loves. It's almost in a self-destructive way that can like endanger or annoy the people around him, like how Eddie gets like pissed off at how often he borrows money and stuff. Mm-hmm. Or even, again, we talked about it just a little bit ago, but even how he talks to Mina when he's in a place of hurt because he gave his everything and it still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
We're moving on to his next placement, which is Mars in the Taurus 5th house, back in Taurus 5th house. Mars in Taurus, I think, is a wonderful placement to have. There are no dignities or debilities with Mars in Taurus. That means it's not like ruled by it. It's not in fall or anything like that. It's just big chillin', but it is a fixed sign and it's fixed earth, and Mars is like action oriented. I don't give a fuck what people say about Tauruses. They say that Tauruses are lazy. I think that Tauruses use their time wisely, so they have as much downtime, as much relaxation time as possible. How do you feel about that, Taurus moon?
I agree with that. And I know 2 Tauruses in my life that come to mind. I think that really applies to them. So I would agree with that for sure.
Absolutely excellent.
For the record, I love slacking off. I love slacking off. Yeah, all the time. That's really it. I love slacking off. Don't ever ask me if you should do this or should you slack off. My answer will always be slack off. Stay home. Sleep in.
I can vouch. I've texted, I shouldn't say this on a podcast that's going to go on the internet, but I have texted Katie and been like, should I go to class today? Should I go to work today? And she'd be like, no.
The answer is always no.
And then I'll call in, or I just won't go, or whatever. Yeah. And that's on me being Saturn ruled, but my Saturn being in Taurus.
Dude, I love that. That is too funny.
In Saturn in Taurus in the 4th house is my placement, and the 4th house is like home and stuff. I only ever want to be at home.
I fully agree with that.
All right, okay, back to Buster.
Yeah.
Okay, this placement once again shows that he's a shrewd businessman. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's gonna stand the fuck behind that. All of this energy is directed towards his creative outlets because we're once again in the 5th house. It's why he's such a good manager for the theater and his little troupe. Also, because it's in Taurus, it's fixed sign. He is always looking for long-term results over short-term results. He could care less that he had to sleep in a drawer because he could fit and it would be worth it in the end.
Easy. Yeah.
He was like, it's all, it's not that it's a means to an end, because that's something that you say when you're like, I'm gonna step on people on my way up to the top. He would never do that. It's more like he's gonna do what he's gotta fucking do.
Yeah, and sometimes that includes sleeping and brushing your teeth in a drawer.
And stealing water and electricity from the buildings next door.
Yes. What's the word? Ingenuity.
Innovation.
Yes.
Speaking of innovation, we're gonna move on to his Jupiter placement, which is in Scorpio, in the 11th house. The 11th house is community, it's social groups, society, and like your influence on that, and also like how that makes you feel. And I think that Buster in a Scorpio 11th house, I think that there are points that, like, I think there are times that we can point to in the movies where like Buster clearly feels out of place, even though he's like, the leader and like kind of like the director, producer, like in charge of everybody. There's still, he's also a koala, I feel like, and I feel like that also like kind of factors into this, because he's so small and like people will often overlook him because he's so small, but like he knows what he's talking about. And I think that I don't know, maybe this could be influenced by a different one of my placements, but as a Scorpio, I get so fucking pissed off when people don't listen to me, and they never do.
They really don't, and it's always a big mistake.
I frequently say when it comes out that like I was right all along, I frequently say, you guys should have listened to me, but no, nobody wants to listen to Celeste.
I can vouch for this.
Those are words that have left my mouth multiple times.
Real. That's real, bro.
Buster will also sometimes, he'll use his friends in such a way as to like achieve an end goal, even if it's like for the greater good of everyone, which I think we see absolutely in the first movie, because he's lying to them the whole time.
Yeah.
And clearly that upsets a few of them. I mean, I think we talked about this too, but like most of them don't give a damn about the money. They care about Buster and they care about singing, and that's it. Mm-hmm. But Mike and well, I think Ash kind of lost her motivation for the money along the way.
Yeah.
But like Mike and Johnny needed that money.
Yeah, for his dad.
By the end of the film, he needed that $100,000, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, we talked about this earlier too, but I really wonder how long it was between the first and second movie, because his dad's out of jail and doing community service.
Yes. What is the time period that passes between the first and second movie?
Garth Jennings, we need answers.
These are the questions that people are asking.
The two biggest Sing fans in the world need to know.
Yes.
And also, I would talk about Sing characters for as long as you wanted me to if you did a Sing 3.
Yeah, Sing 3, please.
Also, in the second movie, he has them sneak in.
Yes, sneak in. And has Mina dress as the head janitor guy.
What's his name, like Ricky or Rick or something?
Something like that.
Because I think the dog at the desk is like, "Hey, Ricky."
Yeah. I don't think it's a dog at the desk. I think it's like an antelope or a gazelle.
Oh, I think you're right. I think I'm like thinking of the horns like going down as like ears.
Yeah. I think Ricky does sound familiar.
Okay. So, but like, but because like this is Buster's Jupiter placement. Jupiter is the planet of like expansion and luck and growth. Like it is the benefic planet, which means that it is like, so it's like seen as to be so extremely good in traditional astrology. And so I think that Buster, like his charisma and his charm really just allows for people to forgive him for his transgressions.
I would agree with that for sure.
it allows a space for others to be like, okay, he's gonna do something crazy. Am I gonna get on board or not?
Give them time to think about it, mentally prepare.
Yeah, like, because I think that especially towards the end of the first movie and like the entire second movie, people can look at Buster and be like, he has this terrible look on his face that I know all too well.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that.
For the most part, though, I think everybody's like really into it. I think it's really funny that Rosita was like into it because she got Norman to babysit for a full 24 hours.
Yes, you cannot just waste such an opportunity.
Side comment though, they're his kids. You shouldn't call it babysitting, but also there's 25 of them, so maybe it's okay to call it babysitting.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. There are many piglets.
I don't know how Rosita did it. And Norman says that a lot too.
Yeah.
Also, don't worry guys, we will be talking about Rosita at another point in time. She's gonna share an episode with Johnny's dad, Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
On that note, let's move on to the Big Daddy of planets, Saturn, which is Buster's ruling planet. So this is the planet where like all of the energy in his chart comes from. And I put it in the Aries 4th house because he wasn't going to get away without an Aries placement. And of course I made it his ruling planet. As I said earlier, the 4th house is like the house of the home and it's the house of family, your internal world. It's a very deeply personal and intimate house. And this is an Aries, and Aries is the cardinal fire placement. So it is just like go, go, go. Aries does not stop for anything. And really, neither does Buster. No, it's like a weirdly restricted and structured home life and like inner world. Again, this is kind of calling back to his like very structured routine that he knows like the ins and outs of, you know what I mean? He simultaneously has encouragement from within to be a trailblazer in some kind of way, but a lot of hard work and inner healing is involved in that because like his dad, you know, he comes from such like pick yourself up by the bootstraps kind of background. It's really hard for people from those backgrounds to pursue a career in something artistic and creative because it feels like this isn't real work. I shouldn't be doing this, kind of thing, you know?
Do you think he felt that way? I feel like his dad was very supportive of his interest in the theater, the performing arts. And Buster did make the comment, my dad worked, I don't know, however many years, 30 years every day, so I could buy this theater or do something. His dad loved him, bro.
His dad did love him. I think though that because like he does in the first movie, he does feel that sense of failure, and I think that's when we see all of the guilt and stuff wash over him, because to him, like at that moment when the theater collapses, he's like, oh, my dad did all of that for nothing, just for me to end up the way that he did.
Yeah, dang.
As a Saturn ruled person, he obviously needs to do a lot of hard work to get what he wants in life, because that's just like the experience of a Saturn ruled person. And I think that the inner healing comes in allowing himself to fail. So like, he's failed throughout like his entire life into the first movie.
Yes. Several comments on how all of his shows sucked.
But he never let it get him down. And then he's like on a really big upswing. And then he thinks he's failing again. And like his whole world crumbles. Because I think that he does not want to ever go back to like failing. When you're failing consecutively, it's easy to be okay with it. Because it's like, well, at least I'm still where I was before. I didn't lose anything and I didn't gain anything. But I think between the first and second movie, he gained so much that failing even just a little bit, as Suki saying, you guys suck, was like earth shattering to him.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because he had been so obviously successful between the first and second movie. Look at the set. The costume of Alice in Wonderland, all the costumes, the set, just everything. very grandiose.
I absolutely agree. It is very grandiose. I think that like he had to grow as a person in order to have a thriving theater. Like there's like I don't know, I don't really the first movie obviously has like the conflict of his economics, and it's like I think the first movie's thing is more like this man is kind of a genius and is like a hidden gem in this small, town. Which, I mean, it's not even that small of a town. It's pretty large. It's a pretty large town, which is crazy because Jimmy Crystal calls it a pow dunk.
Don't listen to that guy. Don't listen to what he has to say. What does he know? Nothing.
Knows how to embezzle, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
But like in this like pretty large town, he's like a hidden gem, and like nobody really trusts his vision, and he doesn't have enough money to execute it. And so I think that's what the first movie is really about, is about like finding this hidden talent. I mean, it is really about finding this hidden talent in day-to-day life, because Johnny is the son of a gangster. Mina has so much stage fright she would have never gone on without Buster. Mm-hmm. Rosita is a stay-at-home mom who would have never had this opportunity. Mike and Ash, they like were kind of buskers, singing and performing on the street, and in places when they could, but they're obviously like all of these people are very poor, very broke, people who would have never had a chance at this in their life without Buster. And I think that's really what the first movie is about. And the second movie is way more about them developing as characters, actually, as like actual like people, and that Buster needs to like let go of any kind of responsibility or guilt that he feels towards his father's hard work to give him this life. And that's how he has to have a thriving, successful theater business. Any final thoughts on Buster Moon?
Overall, really good guy. Just a great, terrific guy. Really love him so much. Has a big heart. Very supportive, inspirational, kind. Yeah.
I would agree with all that. All right. We are moving on to the second character of this episode. This episode's going to be so long. All right. Okay. So we're moving on to Johnny, and I'll just give you his big three from the top. Okay. I gave Johnny a Leo sun, a Libra moon, and a Gemini rising.
That's awesome. I love that.
I wanted to have these episodes like have parallels between the characters, and it was more like I was doing parallels of like their roles. So like this episode is Johnny and Buster, like two of the main male leads. I'm gonna just give it away. I'm just gonna give the other episodes away. The next episode would be Miss Crawley and Nushi, who are like Buster and Johnny's like right hands, you know what I mean?
Yeah, love that.
And then the third episode is gonna be Rosita and Big Daddy, who are two very involved parents in these movies.
Yes. I love that structure very much.
I'm very glad. I have a lot fewer notes on Johnny. I feel like we can talk about him a lot.
I agree.
Katie nodded very enthusiastically. Okay, so let's start with his rising. He has a rising, a Gemini rising. Actually, okay, I'm just gonna read you my notes because I think this is so funny. My notes say, I don't really know. I just liked this placement a lot. I just really feel like he has the bubbly nature of a Gemini.
I agree. I support that. Follow your heart.
I just also, again, Gemini, we talked about this, Mercury ruled, which makes Johnny Mercury ruled. And I think that like he has a very specific way of communicating, in that when he's singing is when he's being his truest, most authentic self. Mm-hmm. And is like he's very passionate, and like the thing about mercurial placements, Gemini, Virgo, is that they are very persuasive in whichever way they show like their mercurial nature. I think part of the reason I gave him a Gemini rising is because of how it puts the other like the placements in his house, like where it puts them. So with a Gemini rising, that puts his Leo sun in the 3rd house, which again is the house of communication and thinking and all that good stuff. And it's the house that Gemini traditionally rules. So it's a very cool kind of like kind of switch, I think. And it really puts a focus on his sun sign, and it's in its ruling, you know, like its domicile placement of Leo, where it loves to be. The sun loves Leo. He's very communicative and loud about like who he is and how he views himself, both the good and the bad. Like he knows that he's a bad dancer. He knows that Klaus does not like him, but he doesn't know why. And I think that he, like, in a way, he believes he deserves to shine more than he does. Like his dad, he like lives kind of in his dad's shadow for a lot of the first movie.
Yes he does.
And I think that like part of what he works through is to try to like get out of that shadow and show that he, like, his dad is a leader, but Johnny has leadership qualities too.
I agree with that.
And I think that he just wanted a chance to be able to show that. And I think that, you know, taking the initiative and coming to Miss Crawley and scaring the shit out of her for some extra piano lessons, it showed, like, you know, like Leo, like, yeah, Leo like shines just because like they're ruled by the sun or whatever, but also there is some effort that they have to put forth. And he does that, you know. He goes out and he learns the piano and he keeps playing the piano.
Yes. And becomes a very skilled piano player.
Very skilled, yeah, very skilled piano player. I like, listen, the I'm Still Standing is such a great song.
Yeah, and you had mentioned earlier, way better than his original choice or what he was originally supposed to perform.
Yeah, I don't remember what he was supposed to sing. All of Me, I think.
Yes, I think that's what that was. It was a slow song.
Yeah, it was very much a ballad, and like, yeah, like he is a big soulful guy, like Buster says, but I think that in his arc, having I'm Still Standing after he fucked up so badly and his dad went to jail.
Prison. Yeah, very energetic. I think the high energy song was appropriate, like you said, for All Things Considered.
Yeah, and I think it really helped him like kind of like vent and like get some of his like pent up energy and aggression out. And I think that's also why Buster chose him to be the warrior planet guy.
Yeah, didn't even think about that.
Oh, I don't remember what his song was for that section of the movie.
I don't know the title, but it's in the sky full of stars, I found you. Remember?
I'm kind of remembering now. Yeah. I really like how crazy he gets with it after Nushi starts banging the drums.
Yeah. And stands up to the fucking monkey guy. The fucking weird, like, geriatric dude who in the costume looks like the fucking CEOs on Undercover Boss. They try to make look clownishly younger. Whatever that guy's fucking problem is, I don't know. And I'm happy that he was able to defeat him.
Fuck that guy for real. Yeah, like his like fucking scream at the end of that.
Yeah. That I think was there since the first movie.
What do you mean by that?
Like, that scream, I think, represented rage, but that had been there since the first movie at least. At least, bro.
Okay. Yeah, I think I agree with that, actually. Okay. Let's talk about, hey, you know what? Maybe this is appropriate because his moon is in Libra. It's in the fifth house, again, house of creativity and stuff. I think it's interesting that like so far, I want you to know, I wrote these notes a long time ago. So I'm like kind of like remembering this stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy because it really does parallel Buster a lot without even me like fully intending to. But his moon is in Libra in the fifth house. Again, creativity, art, childlike joy, wonder, blah, 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 blah. And again, I wrote in my notes, he processes emotion through creativity / performance. That's what I just said with his son, too. I think they really tie in together. He's usually a pretty balanced thinker. He's much more the type to, like, stop and think before acting, unlike Big Daddy.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that him in the second movie breaking his skateboard was very uncharacteristic of him.
And as soon as he did it, he regretted it.
Yeah, he did. And then he immediately went out and bought a new one because he knew that like he needs his skateboard, he needs to be able to get around and have a good ride and like clear his head and stuff.
Yeah. And also, getting back to Big Daddy, as far as living in his dad's shadow, his dad really put him there and put him in this box of, you're going to be a part of this family business, you're going to be in the gang, and you're going to like it. And he was, I think, pretty open, especially after his dad went to prison, that he just didn't want that. He didn't want that life. He didn't want that for himself. And I think that's also part of like what you said. He knew he deserved more and could shine more than that.
Yeah, I'm really curious to like see what I wrote for Big Daddy because I don't know if I fully captured how much he wanted to box Johnny in because I had forgotten how nasty he was to Johnny after he first got arrested and went to prison in that first visit. He was so, what did he say? He's like, you're no son of mine or some stupid bullshit like that.
How did I end up with a son like you?
Ooh.
Yeah, hurtful, bro. Hurtful.
I don't know what's worse. I don't know what's worse, to be like, you're not my son, or to be like, how did I end up with a son like you?
Yeah, that one just has more poison, very personal, hard.
I do think that I like captured some of Big Daddy's like real precise like fucking jabs like that, because that's not the first time that he kind of had like a little jab like that at somebody.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of jabs, let's move on to Mercury, which is Johnny's ruling planet. It's in Cancer in the second house. Second house is the house of stability, material possessions, and things of that nature. Again, if you want more in-depth discussion about the houses, listen to a solo episode. I think that Johnny, he has to like learn this, but he's young, you know. Him, Mina, and Ash are all very young, and I think that like some of these like placements and stuff is stuff that you like have to learn and like have to grow into. But I think again that Johnny is pretty communicative about his emotions. He's very open. Like he goes and he finds a dance coach because he feels inferior and insecure.
Yes, very extremely sensitive, just a big softie.
Yeah, just the biggest softie in the world. Talking through the things that he's going through provides stability for him, I think. I think we see that a lot more in the second movie too, because I think it's something that he realized towards the end of the first movie and was making more of an effort to do in the second movie. Because even when he's having a hard time with Klaus the dance coach, he comes into to get fitted and measured, and everybody's like, how did it go? And he's like, that guy fucking hates me, you guys.
Exactly what happened. Exactly his words.
He had a hard time with Big Daddy because Big Daddy does not traditionally talk through things, and I think that's why in the first movie their miscommunication is so present, because neither of them are willing to talk about it. Like Johnny, I think, is the kind of guy who would be open to talking about it if provided an opportunity, but because Big Daddy is like clammed up, you know, he's a very masculine, like traditional patriarchal kind of dude, right? So he's not going to talk about his feelings. It's very difficult and hard for him, and it makes it hard on his son because his son is a big old softie.
Yes, bro.
Yeah, so love Johnny. He's just a dude for real. What a guy.
For real.
I gave Johnny a Virgo Venus in the 4th house because he loves his family and he would die for his family.
Yes, he would. He was going to steal the 100,000 for his dad.
I forgot about that, dude. I was doing my assignment, so I wasn't like paying a whole lot of attention to the first movie. I fucking forgot.
Yeah, that's what happened when he scared the shit out of Miss Crawley for the late night piano lessons, because he was doing that. Then he had a change of heart.
Oh my god. I was not looking at it. That's a very visual cue, and I was not looking at it at that moment.
Yeah, snuck in the window and everything.
That's crazy. He really was. Oh my god, he's gonna steal from everybody.
Yeah, but that would not have been in alignment with his true self or his morals. So I'm happy he didn't. And I mentioned this earlier, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this, but I loved how his relationship with Miss Crawley developed through the first and into the second movie.
Yeah, we did talk about this earlier, and I absolutely agree, and I feel like we will talk about it more, especially I think on Miss Crawley's episode. Because I think that Buster and Johnny are both very significant relationships for her.
I agree. Underrated duo for sure.
Oh my god, when they're running away in the second movie and he scoops her up, my heart.
For real. Love that guy, man. What a guy.
What a dude for real. I think that, like, okay, this is kind of leading into this point. I think that he shows his love and appreciation for people through his open-heartedness.
Wow, dude, that brings tears to my eyes for real, bro. I love that.
And my last note is that, like, is this what we kind of talked about earlier with Big Daddy, is that he's not private, but he usually needs some sign that he can trust you before he does open his heart to you.
Definitely.
And I think that, like, you know, he didn't really trust anybody at all in the first movie. But he's a Leo, and he's such a charismatic guy. You know, he comes off stage after the audition and tells Mina good luck out there. What a guy. I think Virgo Venuses are underrated. I think that in his love and adoration for people, he's very pragmatic. And I think that that's really underrated. He's willing to take care of people, but also he doesn't want to suppress his dreams in order to take care of people. But also, I think he knows that he doesn't have to suppress his dreams to take care of people anymore.
He's good at having boundaries, I think.
I think so. And I think that also kind of comes back to his Libra moon, where he's very balanced, you know. All right, 3 placements left. Next one. His Mars placement is in Pisces in the 10th house. My first note on this is water Mars are scary to me as an Earth Mars.
They're scary. Elaborate.
I think that Mars is the planet of action, motivation, often deemed the planet of aggression, and the planet that, like, comes out in points of conflict, especially physical conflict. And I think that water Mars, because they're water is very emotional, you know. Not so much, I mean, actually it's Scorpio too. Scorpio Mars are in this too, because they also scare me. I think Cancer Mars are the scariest. But I think that water Mars are scary because they will act purely from a place of emotion, and that terrifies me with all of my air and earth placements, because I'm all up in my head and always thinking pragmatically and stuff.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I cannot relate personally. Not logical, not in the brain, in the heart for me. All emotion.
Well, do you know what your Mars placement is?
No, do you?
No. I mean, I know what mine is. I don't know what yours is off the top of my head. You're lucky I have your big 3 memorized, and I remember your actual birth date. Yeah, because it's in Pisces. Pisces is like the daydreamy sign. It's the 12th sign in the zodiac. Pisces is all head in the clouds, but the clouds are made of cotton candy. And the earth is not blue and green. It's actually like yellow and pink. And the Milky Way is made of actual milk. and the moon is cheese.
I love that. I want to live there. I want to be in that world.
I wonder if you have any Pisces placements. So because his Mars is in Pisces, I think that he's very daydreamy towards his goals and his aspirations of like being the public eye, because he is honestly a little shy, you know. He's a little shy, but his Leo sun comes out because he's a heartthrob, bro.
Yes, he is, but I think maybe he isn't as shy to a degree in the second movie, because he just goes up to Nushi and is like, hey, help me.
Yeah, absolutely. I still think I would say that I still stand by him being a little bit shy, because, you know, he could be like Darius. He would never act like that because Darius is a douchebag.
Fuck Darius.
Darius is a douchebag, but like he has the full charisma and talent and just general, I guess, good looks. I'm sure it's a movie and they're animals, but like I'm sure that there are some lady gorillas out there watching Johnny like, oh my god.
Yeah, certainly. I'm sure of it.
We don't see any lady gorillas, I don't think.
No, we do not. And if we do, they are a background character that I did not notice.
Somebody find a lady gorilla in the background of singing and tweet it at AstrophycPod on Twitter. Let us see it.
Yes. And for the record, my Mars is Scorpio.
You have a water Mars. That's a really good placement though, because Mars in traditional astrology rules Scorpio.
Well, there you have it.
Do you have any Pisces placements?
I saw two. Venus, Mercury.
I feel like I'm learning something about you right now, and suddenly like everything makes sense.
That's real.
Pisces, you have really good Mars and Pisces placements. Pisces is an exaltation with Venus, and Mars is, as I said, rules Scorpio in traditional astrology. That Pisces Mercury though,
Tell me why.
I just feel like the later signs in the zodiac, because the Mercury ruled signs are the 3rd and 6th signs in the zodiac. They're in the first half. They get their shit together and they get out of there quick. Yeah. So I think any of the later signs being in Mercury makes the person with that placement maybe slow to communicate or have trouble communicating, especially I think Pisces, because Pisces is already the daydreamy sign, as I was talking about earlier. So I feel like she like gets muddled up and like confused. And you know what? You put your foot in your mouth a lot.
Sometimes I have been known to do that on occasion.
And that's a very Pisces Mercury way to answer that. Oh my god. The pauses and everything.
Oh my god, that was too much.
Back to Johnny though, with this Pisces Mercury. I think that like, because Pisces is again a mutable sign, I think that he can kind of like give up easily, but he's able to bounce back just as quickly.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Again, fuck Klaus.
We hate Klaus. All my homies hate Klaus.
I think that spike was you saying Klaus really hard. Just for the record, there's one mic and it's just kind of like living in some kind of nether space between us. But like when one of us is like talking, the mic is pointed directly at us, but like in general it's just kind of in this nebulous middle space. And it's not a good mic. You guys know I'm broke. Listen to the end to find out ways to support the podcast. Shameless plug.
The call to actions, the CTAs.
We're gonna move on because then I'm gonna say something about Katie's job and dox her. Let's just say there's a reason she didn't want her last name used.
Oh, how mysterious.
Okay. Okay. Next placement. He also has an Aries placement. This one is in the 11th house. Again, all of these placements in houses that we've talked about before with Buster. So he has, oh my god, and his Jupiter's actually in the exact same house. They both have Jupiter in the 11th house, and they're both, that's right, I remember now, it's all coming back to me, folks. They both have Jupiter in the 11th house, and the sign that it's in are both ruled by Mars in traditional astrology. Buster has it in Scorpio and Johnny has it in Aries, and I definitely, like, I believe that they are like two sides of a similar coin in that regard. Like, you know, Buster will use people to his advantage and then, like, you know, ask forgiveness later, basically. Johnny, Aries, don't even think about it. Just like barrel through shit and then turn around and go, oh, fuck, what have I done?
That is very on brand for Johnny, I believe.
And he's never coming from a place of maliciousness. He really truly just believes that this is for the good of everyone. And I think that's like I think he gets like overzealous with it. Like in the first movie, he leaves his dad to go rehearse.
Yes, in that 37-minute time frame, and then gets stuck in traffic from an accident he caused.
I always forget that he's the one who caused the accident.
Yes.
Also a very Aries thing. To be speeding somewhere, cause an accident, and then try to speed back and get stuck in the traffic of the accident.
Oh no, the consequences of my own actions.
That's an Aries thing for sure. That's an Aries statement for sure. I think it's also funny because he, like, originally when his dad asked, he tried to lie about it.
What did he say?
He came up with the stupidest lie because he didn't think about it. He said, "I went to go put gas."
Yeah, when he's talking to him in prison, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I recall that now.
Yeah, he's like, his big daddy's like, "Where were you?" And Johnny's like, "Well, you see, I went to go put gas." And his dad is not having it. His dad is like, "You're fucking lying to me, and I know it because you're my son." So again, very similar to Buster in this regard, except he is not mildly manipulative like Buster. He just doesn't think things through. But he's very straightforward and honest in his relationships and communities, and he feels very guilty when he's dishonest and disloyal, which is why he's so heartbroken about what he did to his dad.
Yes, I would agree with that.
But I also believe that he's a trendsetter and a leader in these communities and social circles.
Yes, I agree, a leader. And his leadership, I think, shines more definitely in the second movie. And I honestly foresee Buster taking him under his wing to a degree. And maybe in the future, in a potential Sing 3, if there's ever one. I don't know if he starts to take on more of an active role in the theater management. I don't know.
That's very interesting. You know, that's also a very interesting point of topic point of like who would take over after Buster, because Miss Crawley is old.
Yes, she is old, and we'll talk more about her, but she deserves more respect than she gets.
I absolutely agree. So obviously she can't take over for Buster. Nana is also old. Eddie is the same age as Buster. So it really, I think, would fall on one of the three younger people, or maybe Rosita. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Norman takes on an active role to be able to spend more time with Rosita and the kids.
I love that.
We don't know what he does.
Some corporate.
Clearly. Mm-hmm. You would know.
Yes, I would.
Okay, last placement is Johnny's Saturn. It is in his first house in Gemini. I believe that a Saturn in the first house gives you like a very constricted sense of self. You need to fit other people's molds, and in this case he feels like he needs to fit his father's mold of who he needs to be, which is like his entire arc for the first movie. And he wants to be able to like flow freely, but he's held back by those societal and like family pressures.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else about that, but like that's just how I generally feel about Saturn in the first house, and in Gemini that wants to flow, you know, as freely as air does, and especially an immutable sign, he is unable to because he's in his head about what others will think of him, and he needs to take a note from his Leo sun and just live more from the heart space.
Yes, and I think he, you know, we're never perfecting it. It's always a journey, but I think he has come so much further on that journey in the second movie.
I definitely agree with that. So that is the last placement for Johnny, which brings us to the end of our episode. Do you have any final thoughts on Johnny?
I have one question I would like to ask before we wrap up. In the Sing universe, what animal would you be?
I knew you were, as soon as you said in the Sing universe, I was like, I know exactly what she's gonna ask. I don't really know. I always have a lot of trouble when people ask me like, what thing like this would you be? Like you could ask me anything like that. You could ask me animal, you could ask me freaking fruit, flower. I have no idea. I think I need to think about it a little bit. What about you?
I feel like my go-to answer is always going to be cat.
That's very valid. Do you want to explain why?
I love cats. I just relate to them. I meow a lot anyway, and it's just really true to my character and on brand for me.
I love that. I love that a lot. Do you have any opinions on what I would be?
I think maybe fox.
A fox. Yeah. That's very interesting. You know that filter on TikTok that people are doing that like turns your face into like a certain animal? Yeah. I for a lot of them I usually get bunny.
A bunny. Very interesting. I could see that.
Yeah, I think it's because I have buck teeth and kind of a flat nose, and I can do like bunny movements with my nose, and I didn't realize until TikTok that not everybody can do that.
Interesting.
Yeah, like not everybody can like flare their nostrils or like move their nose up and down like the way a bunny does when they're like sniffing. Yeah, okay. Any final thoughts you would like to share about Sing?
Really fantastic movies. Highly recommend. If you have not seen them, I will never not watch them. Sing 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Garth Jennings, give us Sing 3.
Please.
Again, that brings us to the end of our episode. Do you have any CTAs you would like to share?
Like and subscribe at Astrophic Pod on Twitter. And be sure to listen to Astrophic wherever you listen to podcasts.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, what Katie said, follow Astrophic Pod on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. There is a paid subscription options available. Once season 2 wraps up, there will be a sub feed discussing real historical people. The first episode will be on Emily Dickinson, which will be dropped in the public feed just to give you a little taste. And in the show notes, I have the link to my Linktree, which has all of my personal links to my social media if you would like to follow me personally, as well as all of Astrofix links. And in addition to all of that, the link to my Etsy if you would like to buy a tarot reading from me. Any money made from this podcast goes directly back into the podcast. Any money made from my Etsy goes into keeping me alive. So thank you for groceries. All right. I don't know what episode will be coming out after this, but on the next episode for Sing, we will be talking about Miss Crawley and Nushi. So stay tuned for that. Katie will be returning for that, of course, my resident Sing expert. Thank you guys for listening to Astrofic, and I hope this episode was fun for you to listen to as it was fun for me to record. You've been listening to Astrofic, your favorite astrology podcast, hosted by me, Celeste V. Don't forget to leave a rating or review, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Love you. Bye.